All right, so in this lesson, we're going to be writing equations only given tables. So we have already written equations given a point and a slope. Then we moved up to just giving 2 points. And now we're going to be writing equations given a table of values. So a lot of this is going to be the same as what we've done in the past. We're just going to be given different information to come up with the same conclusion, which is an equation. And all of this is something we're trying to do in algebra, where we're just trying to describe a pattern with some type of an equation that we call a function. So let's go ahead and get started. So this first example is a review. It's one like we've done in the past. Suppose you get an allowance of $8 per week. And after 12 weeks, you've saved a total of $151. We know that 8 times 12 isn't 151, so you must have had some money at the beginning. We're going to write an equation for the money we have saved after X number of weeks. So one of the things that they've given to us is this right here. That shows a change in the number of weeks. In other words, every week we get an extra $8. Well, hopefully we can recognize that that is the slope. In other words, they have given us that the slope is 8. Here's another thing that they've given us. After 12 weeks, this is a particular point in time. After 12 weeks, we have $151. Well, so what they've given us is a point and a slope. And so we should know how to do this. At this point, we're going to take the point slope formula, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're going to plug in our point, our x value, our y value, and our slope. So it's going to be y minus 151 equals our slope, which is 8 times x minus 12. So I'm going to solve this for y. To get it into slope-intercept form, I will have y minus 151 equals 8x minus 8 times 12 is negative 96. So then I want to get the y by itself, so I'm going to add 151. So I'm adding here 151. Sorry, that's so sloppy. So it's y equals 8x, and then 151 minus 96 is going to be 50. Let's see, 55, I think. So plus 55. So that means that you get paid in your allowance $8 a week, but you must have started with $55 before this allowance even started. So let's see if we can answer these questions. How much money did you start with? Well, we started with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 55. We started with $55. How much will you have after 52 weeks? Well, that's an entire year. So what we're going to do is plug 52 in for x. We're going to have 8 times x, but x is 52 plus 55. And 8 times 52 is 416. And so then we're going to take 416 plus 55, which is $471. So after a year, you will have, if you don't spend it all, you'll have $471. So this is an example. It's review. It's an example of when we have a slope and a point. Let's take a look at this second situation. Again, it's review, but they're not going to give us a slope and a point this time. Suppose your parents put a bunch of money in your lunch account at the beginning of the school year. After 30 days, you had $135 left. But after 40 days, you had $105 left. So you're using this money. Write an equation for the amount of money y you have in your account after X days. So this time they didn't give us the slope. They didn't even tell us how much they put in at the beginning. What they did tell us, though, is this, that after 30 days, you have $35 left. So that's 1 point. After 30 days, you have $135 left. Let me change that. So you have $135 left. That's 1 point. The other point that they've given us is that after 40 days, you have $105 left. Well, we want to write an equation of a line that goes through those 2 points. So the first thing we're going to have to do is find the slope. So I'm going to take y2 minus y1. That's 105 minus 135 over x2 minus x1, which is 40 minus 30. Well, 40 minus 30 we know is 10. 105 minus 135 is negative 30. Well, negative 30 divided by 10, that is a slope of negative 3. So that means we're using $3 every day, but we still don't know how much money your parents put in the account at the beginning of the year. So we're going to write our equation. It's going to be y minus y1 equals m, that's our slope, times x minus x1. And I'm just going to pick this point here. We're going to have y minus 105 equals the slope, which is negative 3, times x minus 40, because that's our x value. So we have y minus 105 equals, if I distribute, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 40 is a positive 120. Then I'm going to add 105 to both sides. So if I add 105 here, I will have y equals negative 3x plus $225. Now that means your parents must have put in $225 at the beginning of the year, and you're using $3 every day. So let's see if we can answer these questions. How much money did your parents put in the account at the beginning? Well, that was $225. And then when will your money be gone? Well, that means you won't have any money. So instead of y equaling something, y is just going to be 0 here. So we're going to have an equation that looks like this. We're going to have negative 3x plus 225. When is that going to be equal to 0 money left? Well, I'm going to subtract 225 from both sides, so we get negative 3x equals negative 225. Then I'm going to divide by negative 3. So I will have x equals 75, which means you will have 75 days with money, and then after the 75th day, you will be out of money completely. All right, so let's move on to what we're going to be talking about today. So here it says, we're going to write an equation from a table if it is linear. And so that's important. We want to make sure that it is linear. And so that means the slope has to be constant throughout the whole table. And so this goes back to what we did at the beginning of this unit. Here, it must be water maybe just leaking out of your pool, and it goes from 7 feet to 6 feet. It goes down a foot over a period of 2 hours. It goes down another foot over a period of 2 hours. And it goes down another foot over a period of 2 hours. So this is linear. It's going down at a constant rate of change. We want to find the slope first. And so once I know it's a constant rate of change, then I'm going to pick 2 points. Let's say I pick this point here and this point here. Let me circle them just to make sure we know what we're talking about. I'm going to take y2 minus y1, that's 6 minus 7, over x2 minus x1, that's 4 minus 2. Well, 6 minus 7 is negative 1. It goes down a foot every 4 minus 2 every 2 hours. So the slope is negative a half. The level of the water in the pool is going down a half of a foot every hour. That's their slope. Then I'm going to pick one of these points. Let me just pick the last point here. And I'm going to write an equation of a line that has the slope of negative 1/2 that goes through this point. So it's going to be y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. And so my y value is 4. The slope is negative 1/2, and my x value is 8. And so I'm going to have y minus 4 equals negative 1/2 x, and then negative 1/2 times negative 8 is positive 4. So then when I add 4 to both sides, I will have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 8, which means this pool must have started out with 8 feet of water, and it's losing a half of a foot every hour. And there's our equation. Let's see if we can do that again with this situation. First of all, let's make sure it's linear. Here, from 7 to 13, we went up 6 over a period of 2. So that means there were 6 additional minutes for 2 songs. That's 3 minutes per song. Here we went up 3, and here we went up 1. That's also 3 over 1. Here, 6 to 22, that's up 6 over a period of 2. And the ratios are all the same. If we take these numbers divided by these numbers, we always get 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And that's really going to be our slope. We could also find our slope by picking 2 points. If I pick the first 2 points, I'm going to have y2 minus y1, that's 13 minus 7, over x2 minus x1, which is 4 minus 2. 13 minus 7 is 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. That gives me a slope of 3. So then I'm just going to pick one of the points in the table. Let me pick the first point because it's the smallest numbers, and I'm going to go y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. So in this case, I'm going to have y minus 7 equals the slope, which is 3 times x minus 2. And if I distribute the 3, I'll have y minus 7 equals 3x minus 6. And if I add 7 to both sides, then I'll have y equals 3x plus 1. All right, let's move on to our next and final question. Okay, let's see if this is linear. So you buy so many candy bars, and this is how much they cost. Here, it went up $1 for 2 candy bars. It's like 50 cents a candy bar. Here it went up $1.50 for 2 candy bars. Now there's a problem. Here it went up 50 cents for 1 candy bar. We've got a problem right here because this one is 50 cents for each candy bar. This one is 50 cents for each candy bar, but not this one. So this is not linear. We will not be able to write an equation for this table that works with every single point. So we have to make sure that the points are linear in the table before we can write an equation for it. Otherwise, it'll work for some of the points, but not all of them. So this is what our homework assignment is going to be about. We will go over questions that you have tomorrow when you come to class. Good luck with it.